What's up, guys? So I want to talk about something today here that's definitely finance related, to say the least. And it's also Vegas related. So it's finance related and Vegas related. So a lot of you will probably like this. But here's something that's going on or potentially going on here in Las Vegas, and we'll go over the back. I mean, tell you the bulk of it up front here. Then we'll get into a little bit of the backstory and why this is unique to Las Vegas and how this can change. Especially these casinos and how they operate and the cash that they use and the flexibility they have, and some of these financial deals they're making are unique to Las Vegas in terms of change in operations. But let's go over this. So here is a popular Twitter account, Las Vegas Locally, that says, rumor has it Blackstone Group will sell the Cosmopolitan before the end of the year. And it sounds like it's going to happen pretty soon. So this is back on August 17th, right? And this is a follow-up to just like a day ago. It says Penn National and Boyd Gaming are rumored to be potential buyers, but the big money is on MGM Resorts, according to an insider. So this came from Las Vegas Locally, initially about 2 weeks ago. And then Vital Vegas, another popular Twitter account here, also just recently, like in the last day or so, was told to expect an announcement of the Cosmopolitan sale in the next couple of weeks. Contenders are MGM, Penn National, and an unnamed third entity, which sounds like Boyd, but MGM is the one that most people would probably expect. This person, tweet of the day, Confucius say, don't play slots in a sinking ship. So this person here says they'd love to see become an MGM property. I'm sure there's some of you who would beg to differ on that. But the reason this is big is because 2 years ago, Blackstone was selling Cosmo. So this happened, back in 2019. I actually did a video on this at the time. So they've been looking, acquired it in 2014, but then they were looking to get out of it, obviously. So they're trying to get out of it in 2019. And I think what happened was basically like the pandemic really put a hold on the whole thing. So Blackstone basically had to hold on to it. And Blackstone is a huge corporation. So they wanted to get the Cosmopolitan. Now they wanted to get out, but they were kind of stuck with it, especially as the pandemic hit. So now they're, obviously revisiting this to sell off the Cosmo. Now, if you look over at the two big ones that could probably be buying this, obviously MGM, which we'll talk about at the end, and theirs is, if they buy it, which it sounds like they're the front runner, it would be unique and kind of just bizarre that they would do that. And we'll talk about it in a minute. But Penn National here, if you guys remember, they're the ones who just, last year in 2020, they got the $450 million deal with Barstool Sports. So this is, Dave Portnoy, the founder of Barstool Sports. And, so Penn National basically acquired them. And then Penn National just recently this year, the article you see here, May 14th, 2021, they put out their Barstool Sportsbook mobile app in Indiana. And they do have in a couple other Midwest states. So if Penn National winds up buying it, then, Barstool Sportsbook is going to be run on the sportsbook over at the Cosmo. So this will be interesting because if Penn National is able to do this and take this property over, that company's going to keep growing and keep getting bigger. Now, the part about MGM, this right here, this article from the Motley Fool, and I'll link these articles and stuff down below for you guys. This guy here, Travis Hoyam, he wrote a great article that really helps, even if you're not like super business finance savvy. He wrote a great article here that really helps break down what has been going on in Las Vegas and some of the decisions these huge corporations, these casinos have been making recently. Now, he says the Las Vegas Strip is changing before our eyes. He says a major REIT acquisition will put most of the Las Vegas Strip's real estate under the control of one company. So think about that. One company is going to own over half of the real estate on the Las Vegas Strip. So I'm just going to say VICI Properties. I don't know if it's Vicky or Vici, but to me, VICI sounds cooler. So it says they're acquiring MGM Growth Properties, and they will take control of the Las Vegas Strip in the process. Because remember, MGM, that's the biggest, MGM's the biggest because Caesars is the second biggest as far as in terms of number of employees here in Las Vegas. I would say in terms of influence in the state of Nevada and, it has how many properties they own. MGM is the big dog for sure. Now, it says MGM's going to get the reason they do this is because they're going to get a whole bunch of cash with this deal. So that's why they're selling the real estate. But it talks about here just the transformations Vegas has gone through in recent years. And it talks about how MGM Resorts started MGM Growth Properties in 2016. And Caesars Entertainment followed with VICI Properties in 2017, which helped fund its merger with Eldorado Resorts. If you guys remember, 5-6 years ago, Caesars had a whole bunch of debt they were trying to get rid of. Some of these casinos, they have massive amounts of debt, and they get pretty financially creative with some of the things that they do. So it says, along the way, Blackstone, Simon Property Group, Invesco, Crown Acquisitions, and others have acquired real estate in Las Vegas. The goal of most of these has been to monetize real estate and maintain the hotel and casino operations in an asset-light entity. Keep that phrase in mind, asset-light. So it talks about how the monetization of real estate took a step forward when MGM Growth Properties agreed to be acquired by VICI Properties. Once the deal is closed, VICI Properties will own a majority of the real estate in the Las Vegas Strip, a huge shift of power in the industry. So like I was saying, one company, after this closes, they're going to own over half of the real estate, over half of the land on Las Vegas Boulevard, which to a lot of people, like, they're concerned about MGM being a monopoly or MGM and Caesars being a duopoly in terms of casino operations. But when it comes to land, you're going to have one huge company here that's got most of it. So here goes over the terms. MGM's going to get $4.4 billion in cash, which is why they're doing the deal. Talks about just shareholders here. VICI will assume $5.7 billion of MGP's debt on its balance sheet. So MGM reported almost $13 billion of principal debt, and over 4 of that was consolidated. So this part here talks about, given the cash MGM is getting, says they could reduce their debt by over $8 billion after this deal. So they are going, as said, with this asset-light strategy. That could be a positive if Las Vegas recovers from the pandemic. Well, I think that's more of a when, not if thing, but that's just my opinion. So talks about VICI's now in gambling, real estate. Also mentions here, this is the good part here towards the end. So MGM goes asset light. So there's the whole reason MGM is doing it. It's to simplify the balance sheet and business model. Now look at this. The downside is that the company loses control of valuable Las Vegas real estate for development purposes, making new resorts much more complicated to develop. So the reason this is big, if MGM buys Cosmo from Blackstone, is because MGM is trying to get rid of land. They're trying to go asset light. They don't want to take on more debt. So it would be kind of bizarre for MGM to do this, because they've just been in the process here of trying to sell off a bunch of real estate to get cash. So it kind of goes against their current strategy. Now it also talks about MGM, they're now going to have a fixed expense each month rather than the flexibility that comes with owning real estate. If another financial crisis or pandemic hit, MGM won't be able to sell real estate to survive or monetize its own REIT. The company will have to cut costs or raise some money elsewhere. So there's pros and cons to this, to doing this. And it says, if revenue rises, MGM will benefit disproportionately from the increase in revenue because rent costs will be fixed. So that can be a benefit, but it's definitely a risk they're taking. But if revenue drops, it'll hurt even more than before. So MGM is taking a gamble on this one here. And then it closes out just saying how Las Vegas is now a REIT town, real estate investment trust town, and just talking about their common investment vehicle and own a huge amount of real estate. So things like hotels, restaurants, malls, right? Lots of things that we have here in Las Vegas. And so it says maybe it's not so shocking for MGM to be giving up control of its own REIT to VICI, just because the amount of cash they're going to get, right? They're getting over $4 billion to work with. So the thing that's unique about it is that MGM, after going with this strategy and giving up so much of the real estate on the Strip, would be the front runner, rumor, okay, this is all rumor, to buy Cosmopolitan. So that's kind of what's going to be bizarre if that happens. Now it's probably going to be, I guess, MGM or Penn National. I kind of doubt Boyd or some other one would buy, but this is what's interesting to see about this. So I want to hear what you guys have to say down below. If you think, if you think the rumor is true, which I mean, Blackstone was already trying to sell Cosmo 2 years ago, so that part I really don't doubt that much. If it gets closed by the end of the year, who knows? But it sounds like at some point they are going to sell, and Penn National and MGM could likely be the two that buy it. So what do you guys think about real estate perspective from how they're getting all this big cash influx for their balance sheet? I want to hear what you guys have to say about this, particularly on the business side of things. I would love to hear. So thanks for watching. Thanks for being so awesome, and I will see you guys again soon.